1, 2, 3, 4.
Actually, could you up?
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey guys! I am James Hake. This is the Hake Report. It is Wednesday, November 20th, 2019. And I'm going to get to your calls today. I know I got some griping from Skip. He didn't like my news stories. But I have some interesting news for you, and I'll get to your calls. 888-775-3773. And of course, I have an interesting, very good announcement for you, and I'm going to talk just briefly, at least a little bit. Maybe some of you guys want to call in about it, about this whole controversy that came up with Jesse's video yesterday about what do you think about this Nick Fuentes America First situation? Because that was covered by Nick Fuentes and another guy on whose show I appeared as a co-host just a couple weeks ago. The Ralph Retort. Killstream, actually, was the name of the show. But with Ethan Ralph. The Ralph Retort is the channel on D-Live. And they covered it. They said, Jesse Lee Peterson, or JLP, disavows the Groypers. Which is a bit of a sensational headline. He wasn't exactly sure, but it seemed like it, in his opinion. That's what Jesse was doing. I guess you could say that he was disavowing imposing, if that's what the Groypers are doing, in some cases. They have to know for themselves what they're doing. And Nick Fuentes, I saw him say, he called it cringe. So I'll give you a little bit more description of what went on. And I saw in the live chat of the YouTube, because I'm on Jesse Lee Peterson, I'm hosting Jesse Lee Peterson's 4th hour of his stream, right, as the Hake Report. And I saw on Jesse Lee Peterson's YouTube channel live chat, somebody said that Juicy, as in Juicy Smollett, or Smollett, the guy that faked a hate crime, I mean, of which there are many, right, but he's actually a famous actor who faked a hate crime. Blacks like to fake hate crimes, by the way, especially college ones. But Juicy faked a hate crime, allegedly, right? He claimed that white guys in MAGA hats, said this is MAGA country in Chicago in the middle of the night in like cold weather when he was walking home from Subway. So allegedly he's suing the city of Chicago according to a chat. So that's crazy. What the? And I may touch on, I forgot to touch on the Tsarnaev brothers. I think that this is an important story. Yesterday, I briefly mentioned them, but I wanted to cover there's like an update about the Tsarnaev brothers, so I'll touch on that. Out of fairness to griping Skip, one of my favorite snakes in the grass, out of Augusta, Georgia, let me get to him, because he has some exciting white news for me. And for you, I think. Skip, how are you doing?
Hey, James, how you doing, man?
Doing fine, thank you.
Look at here. I know what Jesse says is true 100%. It's a spiritual thing. It's not about color and all that.
Right.
I just wanted to share a good story and give you an example of black versus white. Okay.
Okay.
You know how Popeye's chicken, they going badass crazy about them chicken sandwiches, right? Killing each other, stabbing each other. And I don't know if they're killing each other yet, but they will be.
Somebody died. Yep.
Did they?
Yeah, somebody was stabbed to death over a alleged cutting in line.
Well,
yep.
Shoot. Can't be doing that. But look at here.
Yep.
This happened about 7 days ago. It would have been 6 days ago if you would have took my call yesterday in time, but you didn't. But anyhow,
right.
This happened about 7 days ago, and this happened in Alabama. And there was a Waffle House worker, and nobody came into work that day except for him. It was a white guy cooking, and it was the midnight shift. And you know, the midnight shift, a lot of people come in from the bars and stuff, and they eat and it was real busy. And he was trying to wash the dishes and cook and take orders and get the money right in the cash register and everything. And he was having a hard time. And some customers started, you know, they noticed that, and they went back there and they helped that fell out. I mean, they went back there and started washing dishes and cooking eggs and waiting on tables. And, you know, the thing about it was, you can look on the video if you want to, which I give it to Nick so he could maybe pull it up for you. They were all white customers that did that. Now, if that would have happened at damn Popeyes or something, they'd been robbing the darn chicken box. They would have took all the money and everything. So I'm just making an example, mainly for Joe Kenyon and his good statistics and everything. But I thought that was a good story. And it just so happened to be that it was white customers that was doing a good deed.
I mean, that is a very white thing to do. And there are other good-hearted people, I'm sure. But
that's very white.
Yep,
yeah, it is.
It is. Wow, that's cool. Was it a colored man that they were helping?
No, it was a white guy.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was just you know, I don't go out looking for these stories or anything. Me and Stacy was on the way to get some breakfast that morning, and I was listening to the news, and I heard it.
Stacy and I.
Said, you know what? I'm going to share that with James and see if he can't look it up and show it, you know, just to show people, look, you know, it really is not, it isn't about black and white, but the way it is, James, you know, in the way it is.
I appreciate that, Skip. That's a really nice story. Heartwarming.
All right, thanks, James.
All right, appreciate it, Skip. Take care.
All right, you too, buddy. Bye.
All right. So I'm going to get to the rest of you guys, but hang on. I want to present to you. Are you able to pull up this website, Joel, and then move it over to the screen? So, and then put it up on the Skype screen? Let me dictate this website to Joel. New Project 2. And it's the number 2. New, N-E-W, Project, Project, number 2, .com/Jesse Lee Peterson. newproject2.com/Jesse Lee Peterson. Okay. Oh, wow. Dang, he's good. newproject2.com/Jesse Lee Peterson. He's pulling it out, folks. Folks is a Jesse word, I think. And this is a new type of imitation Patreon. It's actually better than Patreon. It's a Patreon that we just started. Actually, somebody else started this version of a Patreon. And I call it a Patreon because it is akin to what Patreon does, right? So this is a way to support Jesse Lee Peterson's work on a monthly basis. Say you don't want to get on Patreon and support what Patreon is doing because Patreon is discriminating against conservatives and good people and whites and all kinds of stuff. And PayPal is doing the same. PayPal, you could set up a monthly PayPal payment to Jesse, but PayPal is deplatforming people too. So to get ahead of all that, Patreon hasn't done this to Jesse yet. PayPal has not done this to Jesse yet. But I just wanted to set up this new project2.com/Jesse Lee Peterson. And if you tuned into my show maybe a couple of Sundays ago, I think it was a couple of Sundays ago on my channel, I told you about this new project2.com website before I had even been able to set this up. This is a version of Patreon, but it's not Patreon related, actually. It's just an imitation. But it's better. It's better. It's actually the new original. Let's call it that. This was set up by a guy named Dick Masterson, who appears as a co-host sometimes on the Ralph Retort in the Kill Stream. He was on when I was there co-hosting, and he was on there when Ethan Ralph interviewed Jesse on the Kill Stream. The Kill Stream is the show. The Ralph Retort is the channel. So I heard that this guy, Dick Masterson, who has his own show, right? He started this new Project 2 website to support people who've been deplatformed on Patreon, because Patreon, like all these liberal organizations, discriminate against whites, Christians, decent people, conservatives, and stuff like that. They think that they accuse them of hate and stuff like that. So he made his own. And so newproject2.com/Jesse Lee Peterson. Check it out. And if you want to support there, that's awesome. Appreciate it. Just wanted to tell you guys about it. That's the first time we're announcing it. And I showed it to Jesse, and we'll be putting it up on jlptalk.com and stuff like that, because it's a nice alternative. And the other nice thing about them is they don't take a whole lot of money out of it. Patreon, I think they take upwards of 10% of the money that you donate through Patreon, which is fine. I mean, they have to maintain, right? They have to pay their employees. But one thing that New Project 2, Dick Masterson, says is that they probably pay more employees than they really need. It's just that corporate culture, liberal culture of creating jobs and creating roles that aren't really necessary, like monitoring for hate speech, stupid stuff like that. That's up in Silicon Valley, the culture up there. So I just wanted to tell you guys about that. That's cool. I'm excited about it. So real quick, let me just tell you guys, and then I will get to calls. I saw Jesse Lee Peterson's. I heard Jesse Lee Peterson's talk yesterday with a guy, that lady, who asked about the Nick Fuentes listeners and fans going to Turning Point USA events. Turning Point being the establishment conservatives that are soft on homosexuality, soft on immigration, seemingly. They believe in the false idea of racism, so they accuse people of racism. They're smearing Nick Fuentes and others. And so they're showing up at their events, participating in the Q&A when there is a Q&A, booing when they cancel the Q&As suddenly, and stuff like that. And Mark from San Diego sometimes, he called my show talking about how a lot of these guys, they're doing it with the wrong spirit, he says. And that may be a valid criticism. And you guys who are participating in that, you have to know that for yourself. Because you should be perfect in what you're doing. Otherwise, you're not gonna win. Ultimately, you gotta be right. You know that. So Jesse also said they have a right to freedom of speech, but these guys have a right to discriminate against these guys being the establishment conservatives, the guys promoting the abnormal stuff, the anti-American stuff, self-destruction stuff. They have a right to discriminate against the people who are America first. So that was seen as a betrayal by some people, or a disavowal. And they're like, what could have happened? Is he just doing this for optics? And I saw on the Ralph Report that he said, I don't really think he cares about optics, because he's interviewed and been interviewed by all kinds of people, so-called white nationalists and stuff like that. So Jesse Lee Peterson will talk to anybody. It's not a disavowal for optics. And then he said, oh, maybe he just forgot. And people found it hard to believe that Jesse forgets people's names and stuff like that. You have to kind of jog his memory to remember, oh yeah, that guy, I like him. So that was what he said. Ralph Retort. I gave a couple super chats on Ralph Retort saying Jesse didn't disavow. He just says that the abnormal TPUSA has a right to discriminate against America first. And also you have to jog Jesse's memory, and maybe he didn't remember that it is an open Q&A. Supposedly, it's advertised as an open Q&A, I think. But they have a right to discriminate even if they are wrong. And of course, you can't expect them to be honest about it and say, oh, we're not going to take your Groyper comments. We're going to only go Democrats. Actually, some of them do say that. Dan Crenshaw is one of them. He says, I only want to talk to Democrats. But Dan Crenshaw is an elected official. He should get a little bit, he deserves a little bit more nagging, let's call it. And then so I saw Nick Fuentes play this clip of Jesse Lee Peterson on his show too. Well, on his he was eating oatmeal and streaming on D Live, and he played this clip of Jesse Lee Peterson talking to this caller about it and saying these Groypers the Groypers being the America First people, don't have a right to impose on these guys. And so basically what Nick Fuentes says was cringe, a cringe statement. He said it was cringe, kind of cringe. But he cuts Jesse some slack because he thinks maybe Jesse doesn't remember talking with me a couple of weeks back, and because Jesse said, I support what you're doing. But that was a couple of weeks back too, so things have changed. Like there's been more, let's call it nagging or imposing. And then the viral moment of, for example, the Ohio situation, where Ohio, it went viral. A whole bunch of conservatives were on their side, the America First people's side, because homosexuality, we shouldn't be supporting it. This mass immigration stuff, we shouldn't be supporting it. And letting college graduates stay here, no. And then this, some of our foreign relations stuff and relationship with Israel, people are a mixed bag on that. There's a lot of people that really support Israel. So a little bit has changed, and it's kind of unclear where everybody stands. If the Groypers are imposing, if the TPUSA are banning, and so who knows? It's something you guys got to check yourselves on. And also you have to check your spirit. Mark did make a good point. My caller the other day called in that they're kind of trying, it's ego, he said. I think he called it a power grab, stealing the audience. And yeah, I think that the audience should be more towards the America First people. But just make sure your spirit's right. Anyways, that's basically that. Nick Fuentes, as I said, he kind of acted like it was a betrayal. Oh, show the picture. He's like, he acted like the world is on his shoulders, or all of America is on his shoulders, and it's just him and Michelle Malkin, and people are throwing pebbles at him. That's it. You can see in the lower right corner, him reacting after Jesse said that they don't have a right to impose on these people just because they're promoting immorality as though it's moral. And then, by the way, he pointed out that Stefan Molyneux tweeted something. I have another tweet, another picture from that. Stefan Molyneux tweeted, what did he say? Oh man, what does that say? Yeah, can you zoom in on that? Stefan Molyneux is a good guy on Twitter, and he's interviewed Jesse numerous times. But he said, I thought he said I support. I oppose making light of the Holocaust. And he said, I oppose arguments for ethnic cleansing. I oppose support for Nazism, fascism, and communism. I oppose all aggression and violence, especially against kids. I stand for free speech, free will, private property, and the non-aggression principle. Basically, he's like he doesn't believe that government, he believes in as little government as possible. But I don't know, I think that he is, in my opinion, he's a good guy, but he's a little bit emotional. And so I don't think he's thinking clearly about these jokes about the Holocaust, which I understand because it's not mainstreamly acceptable, especially among adults, especially older adults, to joke about the Holocaust or to question it or whatever. So, whatever. So Fuentes was also felt a little betrayed by Molyneux over that tweet. Whatever. Oh, I think Molyneux, by the way, a little bit of gossip. It's reported, I don't know if it's true, that Molyneux unfollowed Nick Fuentes on Twitter. Whatever. I think they'll get over it. Anyways, that's the drama. T out of Alabama. How are you doing, T? Thanks for holding.
Hey, what's up?
Not much.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to, I'm sorry, hold on a second.
Okay, I'll come back to you, T. I'll come back to you. Nick, can you check on T? He has a very interesting commentary about Skip, and so I want to get to him. Let me get to Ryan out of Florida, first-time caller. Ryan, how are you?
Very well, sir. Yourself?
Doing fine, thank you.
I had a question for you.
Okay.
I watched on The Fallen State, Jesse interviewed that reporter, Heltzer or whatever.
Yeah, so Jesse Lee Peterson on his show, The Fallen State. This was actually my guest request, believe it or not. Jesse Lee Peterson interviewed an LA Times writer, very well established. I think he's like a Nobel Prize winning, or some type of prize, right?
Pulitzer Prize.
Yeah, Pulitzer Prize. Michael Hiltzik. And Michael Hiltzik wrote an article in LA Times saying that we should change John Wayne Airport. And John Wayne is T disappeared. John Wayne is was a very famous actor, very manly persona. He was actually a pretty good guy, from what I understand, conservative. And he was outspoken, and he was falsely called racist or something by this guy, Michael Hiltzik, in the LA Times. And they wanted to change the name of John Wayne Airport, which I think is up in Burbank or something, or somewhere. Maybe it's down in Orange County, I forget. But it's a pretty big airport. Not as big as LAX, but it's a pretty big airport. And it's basically total disrespect and changing of history, and it's kind of like the attack on Robert E. Lee statues and things like that. So what do you want to say about that episode? And by the way, this episode, the Fallen State episode with Michael Hiltzik, you see a skit, I don't want to spoil it too much, but you see a skit of Dylon, who is involved as a producer on the Fallen State, co-producer, I guess, beating himself up over poor audio quality because Jesse's mic was not turned on. What a shame.
Yeah.
That's very unprofessional. Anyways, what did you want to say about it?
I used to be one of those people that would be beta and, blame people for problems, like kind of how blacks do whites.
Yeah.
Well, he was Jewish, and he was saying all these things like
this guest
up
is Jewish?
Down and
This guest, Michael Hiltzik, is Jewish.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I just found myself resenting him through that, for that reason, feeling like he was trying to subvert, America. And I want to know how I can overcome that.
Well, I mean, it's good to be aware of it. I don't know if you can, like what Jesse Lee Peterson says, of yourself, you can do nothing. But the awareness is what and not denying it or not judging yourself over it. He says allows God to come in and save you from it, or cleanse you from that unrighteousness. Because you're right, just because he is wrong and evil, and whether he knows it or not, is not a reason for a Christian or a person who wants what's right to hold it against him and resent him for that. You are right that is wrong. But it's not something that, I'm not really the best person to ask for that because, like, you make, I don't know, I kind of resent people too. I'm still a little bit beta, I guess. But this may be a better question for Jesse, honestly. But do you do the silent prayer?
I biffed on it today, but I started yesterday.
You skipped today, but you did it yesterday?
I biffed on it.
Biffed? What's that mean?
Yeah. I fouled up. I didn't do it.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Suffer, as Jesse Lee Peterson would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. There's a
All
lot
right,
of us
well,
out there that are lukewarm in that respect, and just have to suffer, I guess. But yeah,
Yeah.
if you like private counseling with Jesse, he does great work with the counseling thing. Have you done the forgive your mother and father stuff?
Not yet. I'm still suffering. But
Okay.
I've been listening pretty steady for about a week now, and
Well,
I heard from you from Asmodor, or Jesse on Asmodor, and Jesse has a lot of great things, and I've been listening to you and Jesse on and off back when you were a producer, I guess.
Right.
That was a long,
Nice.
I fell off a while, so.
Asmodor seems like a nice guy, a good guy.
Yeah. It has to be perfect, like you were saying. And
Right.
I
Well,
don't know. I see
I'll tell
these
you-
things, and I know my thoughts are deceiving me, but
I'll tell you one thing, Ryan. Don't be expecting to get over Michael Hiltzik and all these other things, because before you deal with the thing that started before Hiltzik and the Jews, or at least in your immediate reality. Oh, he disappeared. His phone messed up. I didn't touch it. I didn't hang up on him. But he said, don't be I'll tell you anyways. Hopefully he'll hear it. Don't be expecting to get over being resentful towards a Jewish subverter of America before you forgive your parents, because your parents are your first experience of injustice, especially your mother. That's before any Jew could get to you. So I think that's Jesse's point, is that's the root. That's just me, my intellectual understanding of it. I went and told my parents, I kind of listened to what Joel said, because years ago, when I first started coming to the Bond Sunday services, I heard this stuff about shine. I used to play like I was shy. Shyness comes from anger. That was the first time I'd ever heard that. Amazing point. And then I realized that I did resent and hate my parents. And so I went to them and told them that I hated them. But I didn't tell them that I was sorry for hating them. Because I wasn't sorry. What a little punk, huh? And then later, like, over the years, more and more young people, especially once we started the Fallen State and different things that went viral, more and more young people started catching on and listening to Jesse and forgiving their parents and stuff. So I'm like, oh, shoot. I got a call from one of the fans, this guy, Ben. He asked me if I forgave my parents. I'm like, whoa, no, I didn't. And then so, like, kind of recently, and I remember hearing Joel in church one time, he said, I realized that I didn't necessarily have to be sorry. I just have to realize that I was wrong for holding against them. So he went and told his mother, I think, that he knew that he was wrong for resenting her, even though if he didn't feel like he was sorry about it. And so, like, that's food for thought. So, like, later on, I did go to my parents and admit that I was wrong for holding it against them, because I'm pretty weak myself. So, but I don't know if I actually, like, forgave him from my heart, because I'm kind of all over the place still. But I don't know. We'll see. So that's that. Hopefully that was helpful. What's your name? Let me get to some more callers. Justin out of Indiana. How are you doing, Justin?
Hey, man, not too bad. How are you?
Doing fine.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to get in your truck so it's quiet.
Okay.
So I wanted to call and talk to you about the Groyper thing. I saw that Skyler had called earlier today with Jesse and disguised himself, and I think that's part of the problem with their movement is, like, I don't think that their questions necessarily are bad.
Right.
Or that it's the way that they're doing it. Like, they had a guy, I know that you're really aware of this. I just heard you break it down a minute ago. So I saw that there was a guy that came out there with a yarmulke and a Bernie Sanders shirt on and posed to be on the left because they knew that they'll take questions from the left side.
Right.
Well, that's deception right there. That's not right.
Yeah.
You know, you're trying to deceive them to let you get a question that's still the wrong spirit. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting, man. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
it is. It's funny. It's kind of like they've become a little bit of what they hate because they don't like these guys being sneaky, but then they're turning sneaky and subversive
it's the same spirit,
like that.
Like Jesse said,
right?
It's the same spirit.
Yeah. It's kind of exploitative.
So that's what I wanted to kind of point out. Like I saw exactly what you were talking about, that video of Fuentes of reacting. And hey, listen, I support him. I think he's doing a good thing.
Yeah.
But you know what I noticed too is that he gets into it with a lot of people too. And I know that he's getting attacked.
Right.
But the way he attacks back is not enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
You know, it's like ad hominem attacks, just what the left does. Exactly what he's complaining about them doing, that's what he's doing to them. And like I said, I think he has the right message, and I think he's on the right path. But I think that he's very, like you said, and I think other people have mentioned too in the comments, is he just seems very ego driven. Like, you know,
maybe so.
Everybody on his back.
You know, I can't tell. I can't tell that's the case with him specifically. I don't know. Maybe
he might be joking.
Yeah, I can't tell. He seems pretty to be handling this whole situation fairly well, especially for a 21-year-old. But his fans,
that too, yeah.
I think his fans are more ego driven than he is in this, at least in
like
terms
they're
of
pushing his agenda more than he's pushing his agenda.
Yeah, like they're more insulted on his behalf than he's insulted. For example, with the Jesse thing.
Like that Skyler kid that called today.
Right.
Like, you know, you could see he was getting very defensive when Jesse pointed out. And you know, when you have to get put on hold twice, that's ridiculous.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's not being a man, just what Jesse was saying. And I think everybody can see that. And what I'm saying is that Fuentes has the right message. Just do what Trump is doing and let these people expose themselves. Let Charlie Kirk avoid the question when you guys do get a chance to ask a question, you know, by doing it the right way, waiting in line and not deceiving, but come up and ask your question. And if he dodges it, then you've proven your point.
Right. You know, this is just like what happened with the Christians in the New Testament. There was infighting and stuff like, I follow Paul, I follow Apollos, I follow Christ. Like these guys are Christians or conservatives, and you'll see it among like Jesse's fans will get tempted into these ego battles. And when Jesse does not care, he doesn't even know, and Jesse's really he's in the world, but not of the world. So he's not in this ego battle stuff. And I
don't think that he's. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
And I think that it's just something that you're calling out. Nick is maybe being ego driven, and we know that his fans, some of them may be, but I think it's something that affects that everybody, each person has to check themselves on, including Jesse's fans, including everybody. Yeah, man.
Yeah. So, the last point I wanted to make was that Jesse had brought up the fact of, you know, that they're doing the right thing. And I noticed, like you said earlier, that when he was watching that video, you could see that, or I could tell, or maybe that's what I perceived, was that he was very upset that, like you said, almost hurt, that like Jesse didn't defend him. And here's the thing, he's not saying that Nick's doing anything wrong. It's the people that are doing the things that they're doing.
Right.
You know, it's the deception and that. He's not going to these rallies and doing this. It's his supporters. Like you said, it's like they're trying to move his agenda.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I appreciate it, Justin.
Jesse said, to call them out and have your own platform and call them out and say, come to us and debate us on our stage. And if they deny that just exposes them as well.
Right. I appreciate it, Justin. Thank you, man.
Watching. All right, buddy. Thank you.
Take care, man. You know what? I have to take Matt out of Indiana. Matt, what's up?
Hey, James. How you doing today?
Doing fine, thank you.
Good. Question.
Yes.
That Project 2 website?
Yeah. You know what?
Went to that?
Yeah, go for it.
And it's all throwing 404 errors. Is it not active?
No, it's called New Project 2. newproject2.com/Jesse Lee Peterson, and there may be some more setup that I need to do. I'm not positive. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. But if you're getting 404 errors, Joel pulled it up fine. I don't think that he's clicked around on it.
I pulled it up fine, and we can navigate the site, but when you go to try to join, it says joined unless you're a member.
Oh.
And there's no place to join.
Okay. Maybe, and you went to newproject2.com/Jesse Lee Peterson?
Yes. I pulled it up as soon as you had it on the screen. As soon as Joel had it up, I was there.
And okay, you know what? I didn't even experiment with it. What a amateur move. But I'll check it out. Thank you, man. Appreciate the tip.
That was my question. Keep up the good work.
All right, thank you, Matt. Appreciate you, man. And thank you for the the support, or at least the intention to support. But I know that you've been supporting anyways.
It's coming. Can I give a quick shout out?
Yeah, go for it.
To Gas the Mods, found all the mods. No, joking. Shout out to Skip. He's off the hook.
Nice.
Had me rolling the last 2 days. And all the other guys on chat.
Cool.
You guys keep it up.
Right on, guys. Appreciate you guys too. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, James.
All right.
Bye.
Take care. Let me quickly get to Joe, who has a good question along the lines of what T wanted to ask me, but honestly. Joe out of Phoenix, Arizona. How are you?
Hey, Skip. Hey, I'm doing great, James. How are you?
Doing fine. You called me Skip?
Sorry, I just wanted to respond to Skip.
Yeah, okay. Respond to Skip, who told this nice feel-good story about the Waffle House white people.
And that was a nice story, absolutely.
Right.
And
but he went and said... Say that again?
I said you can go to YouTube and find a good clip of 3 black guys who saw an elderly couple in Florida. They were struggling trying to get into their van in the parking lot. The woman almost fell down. The man was 100 and the wife was 89.
Yeah.
3 black guys walked over to them and just helped them get into their van.
I think I remember seeing that.
A sheriff's deputy was walking by at the same time, and she pulled out her cell phone and captured it.
Nice.
So, yeah, there are good people in the world of all colors.
Yeah. I thought that Skip was being a little silly to say that although it is possible that if it were blacks in a Waffle House where only one man was running it, he said that they would have robbed stuff. Maybe, maybe not. Some of the blacks would have, and some of the blacks maybe would have helped.
Right.
Yeah, but he does, I don't think he has ill will towards blacks particularly, because the first time that he ever called in, he was talking about how he was homeless at one point and panhandling to make a little bit of extra money, and he said that the blacks help before the whites helped him.
Well, that's nice.
So, I think Skip is pretty fair-minded about this stuff, and it is true
part
that.
Of the call. I wanted to ask you too.
Yeah.
I was watching some of the Politicon videos. Why does Jesse continue to lie about Obama letting kids die on the operating table?
Because that's what he believes. He doesn't think that that's a lie.
I know he doesn't think that, but the facts are that Obama never voted for that. It's ridiculous.
He voted. He voted like he wouldn't vote in support of helping those kids, right?
No. Here are the facts quickly.
Yeah, I remember you covered this with me once.
Yeah.
You said that it was. You said that there was a law already on the books, right? There was a law already on the books that doctors had to help.
720, yeah, passed in 1975, yeah.
All right.
So the law was already on the books that doctors had to give any and all care to any child born alive, period. So the babies were already protected. Not to mention, James, common sense to tell you that you can't create a law that legalizes murder.
No, actually, it was actually the opposite. Like the law was saying you have to help them.
Yeah, state bill.
And you say that was a redundant law.
It was redundant.
Yeah, but he doesn't know that to be true. And but the point is, like, you have Democrats today such as Ralph Northam, who's a governor, Democrat governor, who implied that if a baby was born during a botched abortion or there was a botched abortion, they would deliver the baby, keep it comfortable, and then have a conversation with the mother. That implies that they would let the baby die if the mother deemed it so. And so the Democrats are getting...
And that would be murder.
You say that and I say that, but some of these Democrats are not on the same level with you on that because they intended to abort. So it's not fair that they didn't get to abort is what I can only assume that they're thinking.
Maybe.
Because some of these Democrats are openly evil. And I don't know where you stand on abortion, but Obama did expand abortion.
Totally against it.
Yeah, good.
Actually, Obama said that he wanted less abortions. And
right.
adoptions and foster homes went up under his 8 years.
But these are addressing the symptoms, and he never addressed the problem. He would give lip service about fathers. He would give lip service about fathers not being there, but he was...
That's why he created the My Brother's Keeper initiative, James.
But that wasn't about fathers?
It's about...
That was about filling in... that was about filling in the gap.
Yeah.
That was about filling in the gaps, right?
Well, it's about teaching the next generation how to be good fathers.
Right. But man, he is a liberal, Obama, and by that he's not going to stand for the real solutions. He gives the blacks an out by pushing the racism thing. He doesn't push it as hard as the extremist radicals, but he still gives them an excuse, and anytime you have that excuse, it is pure evil. He validated the Black Lives Matter, which was I know that you didn't support Black Lives Matter.
I do not. No,
yeah.
They have a very clear gay agenda.
Yeah. Anyways, Joe, send us the link on that, and then if you want, then maybe Jesse will correct the record. But you can't just tell him to stop lying because he's not that interested in knowledge. He's interested in the basics. And the basics are Obama was expanded abortion overseas. First thing that he did in office almost.
He just funded it, yeah.
Right, yeah, he funded it. So, man, send me the link if you're going to continue to gripe about and accuse Jesse of lying.
No, he is lying.
No.
One never voted for a bill that would make murder legal. He never did that.
But he didn't say he voted for a bill that would make it legal. He didn't say that.
He did. That's exactly what he said.
No, exactly what he said was, word for word was, he voted to let the baby die on the medical table. And that's effectively, going by purely the wording, assuming that you're wrong about this redundancy bill, assuming,
I'm not wrong.
I know, but assuming you are, then effectively, that's what that is. And that's what the Democrats are wanting today. So Obama was leading towards that.
But James,
that's really undeniable.
You can't
so
make
you calling Jesse a liar, you calling Jesse a liar is, that's kind of like nitpicking. That's nitpicking. Yeah, it is.
You cannot make a law that makes murder legal.
I know, man. Yeah, well, that's what they're trying to do. Anyways, Joe, I appreciate it, and do send me the link if you have it. Take care.
Yeah, bye-bye.
All right. Lynn, been waiting a while out of Chicago, Illinois. How are you doing, Lynn?
Oh, well, for the most part, I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing fine, man. Good to hear from you again.
Yeah. It's always good to talk to you guys. I was actually hoping to talk to Jess the other day, but I had to do some stuff.
Okay.
But I have a basic question, and it's goes more along the lines of forgiveness. At what point in time, or what will it take for Black Americans to forgive whites for the period of slavery? Because I believe that post-colonial Africa has already forgiven the European states for their colonial conquest.
Yeah. I honestly think that there isn't anything to forgive there anyways. It's they weren't wronged by it, meaning the people today were not wronged by it. In fact, they benefited from it by being born here. And so they don't actually have anything to forgive there. I think it will be like that 29-year-old black guy that talked to Jesse in a, just in person, saying that, I've watched a lot of what you're about, and I finally realized what you want. You want blacks to be responsible. And this is for the first time I think I see myself as an individual and not as a group. And that's like a trap that the whites are falling into, identifying with the whiteness because of, intellectualism, basically. They believe in IQ. They don't believe in the real God and stuff like that. So it's going to take them pausing and, I think that Jesse's right and the Bible is right that God opens people's eyes. So some of them are going to open their eyes and a lot of them won't. And, yeah.
Yeah, I for most part, I do agree with you on that because, history tells us that whatever happened back in those days, kind of, went away with the children who were raised in slavery. Like those people didn't have any hatred toward whites.
Yeah,
and that has been documented.
Wow.
I can't remember. I'm trying to think of who.
I think you're right. Yeah.
But I think it was. I can't remember who did it. But some government agency interviewed a slew of slaves who were living in the 1930s.
Yeah.
And they asked about how, of what life was like during that time, and a lot of the people who grew up who were slaves back in the 1860s and prior didn't have any ill will toward whites.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
But then there's the deceivers who say that it continued, and if you're at all intellectual and not spiritual, you're not going to see that they're deceiving you. The deceivers that say, oh, it just went from slavery to Jim Crow to redlining to blah, 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 and police brutality, mass incarceration. They're going to come up with, they're just going to endlessly come up. They'll say white flight, and then they'll say gentrification. So basically, they're always going to push some type of madness.
Yeah, that's all they like pushing. Here up in Illinois, they're pushing all the poor blacks out of Chicago to the suburbs, and they're making hell over here.
Yeah,
as they're pushing out.
Yep.
Yeah, like typically what happens in Chicago is the whites move into Mexican neighborhoods, the Mexicans move into black neighborhoods, and then they make hell.
Yeah.
And then slowly, your liberal white will move into the Mexican neighborhoods, chasing Mexicans out, and the whole thing's a very vicious cycle.
Yeah.
And then all these poor blacks go to suburbs that don't have the ability to police a lot of these poor people, and very vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Yesterday, in fact, a Chicago police officer was shot in the head because of all of this kind of stuff.
What a mess.
Lack of police stuff. Yeah. Very vicious cycle.
It's evil, man. That's the way that the world works, though.
Yeah, they love evil. I've been research, and in Cook County, if you will get more time in jail or in prison for killing a dog. You'll get more time in jail for raping a woman than raping a child. I have actual time. I've actually researched this stuff. I have facts to prove it. It's crazy.
Wow. That's awful, man. Send that to us if you can.
I'll send it to you.
I appreciate that, Lynn, man. Yeah, I mean, they don't actually have any love for children. They pretend to with this these children at the border, separating the children from the parents. It's all an act. It's phony.
Yeah.
It's just a power play.
Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate it, Lynn. I got to move on. I got to get to more calls, but thank you, man.
Sounds good. All right.
Take care. Nazar. Am I pronouncing your name right? Out of Washington.
Yeah, you got it right, Hake.
All right. Washington State or Washington, D.C.?
Washington State.
Nice. What's up?
Hey, I mean it with all due respect. I see you're better going on to Alpha.
All right.
That's why
Appreciate it.
I want to tell you this. How long ago did you make this Hake Report song for your intro?
So, it was about Christmas 2017. Was the original rendition, which appears on Sundays. I play the original on Sundays, and then the Monday through Friday one is this is the original.
You talking about the la la la?
Well, they both say la la la, and then here's the newer version by Trevor Wesley. The first one is by.
2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you? I don't know if you've heard the Sunday version, but I'm sure you've heard this one that I play on weekdays by Trevor Wesley. It's a remake of the original, which was probably within the last year.
Hopefully you and Trevor Wesley can get together and make a new one together, something better, because every time I hear this la la la, I swear, man, it reminds me of homosexual saying la la la. Why say la la la, you know? You guys can do something better. I know for a fact you guys can do something better.
All right, man. I appreciate the input. I don't see it as homosexual, but dang, that's a harsh thing.
You know, girls are singing like la la la. That's a girl thing.
You make an interesting point, man. I don't want to agree with you because
I'm only saying this because I grew up in Ukrainian family, and the reason
really?
I started listening to Jesse Lee Peterson is because he reminds me of my grandfather.
Yeah.
You know, he was born in Ukraine, and all this Christian values. That's why I listen to Jesse Lee Peterson. He's not lying. Like, even the simplest thing as take your hat off when you walk in the building.
Yep.
My grandpa, he does the same thing.
Yeah. That's old school.
All this stuff Jesse Lee Peterson is talking about, and people are calling it conservatism and racist, whatever. No, this is just the Christian way. Even in the village, the woman they have to wear the skirt. If a woman was wearing pants in the village, that would just be funny. Plus, if you don't move out of your house by 18,
yeah,
you're either considered a homosexual or something's wrong with your head. That's in the village.
Man, you are making some good points. I'm gonna take it seriously. We'll really consider it. I want to argue that you may get used to this song. I don't want you to get used to homosexuality. I don't think anybody should. It's not a good thing. But
no, brother, I know you. You're doing a good job and stuff on your own show. So
thanks, man. Well, I appreciate.
Work on a new song. It's gonna be even better.
Right on, dude. I appreciate you, Nazar. I'm gonna take it seriously. I'll consider it, and I definitely appreciate your testimonial about Jesse and your grandfather. That's a cool comparison. That's an honor. Thanks, man.
Say hi. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care. Paige out of California. First-time caller. Paige, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
No woman is good. I'm fine.
Oh, that's right. And you know what? I planned to not say that, and
right.
I said
Yep. Anyways, what's up? I don't know.
Just to add in with what I've been hearing, I graduated in 2017, so pretty recent, like public school, corrupt public school.
Yeah.
Every teacher was a liberal, and I remember vividly in the 5th grade, sitting there in a 5th grade class, learning about slavery in a predominantly white classroom.
Yeah.
We had maybe like 3 or 4 black people in the room, and I just remember looking at them and thinking, how do they feel with us feeding like the information that they're slaves, or like they just were slaves?
Right.
So that's how it felt when we were learning it, and it was sad.
What grade was this again?
fifth grade.
Fifth grade. Yeah. You know, it's funny because I remember that type of sense too, although I didn't, it wasn't necessarily negative. Like I remember we learned about the Japanese internment camps, I think. And my best friend was a Dutch Indonesian, but half Japanese, right? So I thought of him as just Japanese. So I looked at him like he was a bad guy, or like I was a bad guy, and he was, I don't know. It was funny. But I do remember like learning about so-called this buzzword called discrimination and stuff like that. And I learned that discrimination was a bad thing. And then later on, I learned about like discriminating taste, and you have to be discriminating in your decisions. And so then I never really bought on to the racism thing because, you know, just wasn't, my parents didn't talk about it. So I wasn't brainwashed in that sense. Although it's funny because it seems like my parents kind of were because of the, you know, they were boomers. They grew up with the propaganda about the water hoses and the dogs were so racist, stupid stuff like that. But you're right. It is.
I remember seeing those videos in fifth grade, and I remember just the emotion while they taught it. It was almost like you have to feel bad, and if you don't, there's something wrong with you. You have no sympathy.
Yep.
And I just knew there was something wrong because how would it help people to go to the past where you claim it was horrible and dark and just continue to go back to that place like it's a lesson, like an educational lesson? Even if it was true, which I don't believe it was.
Yeah.
Even if it was true, why would we want to go back to that past and feed into that lie?
They brainwash you with cherry-picked facts and emotionalize those facts. And it's brainwashing and you don't even realize it. It's crazy. Well, some people realize it, like it sounds like you did. But people just accept it. And that's what the whole media is doing with this whole... They've had a years-long anti-Trump campaign. And so it's no wonder that half the country seems to not like Trump. I appreciate it, Paige.
I was just watching Donald Jr. on The View, and I loved watching him just make Whoopi Goldberg just flail all around the room.
Yeah, I like that aspect of him. I like his strong personality and his defense of his father. That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paige.
Yeah, thank you so much to you and Jesse. You guys have like changed my life, and I'll be calling Jesse soon to talk to him as well.
Right on. Take care.
Yeah, you too.
Adam out of Massachusetts, my last caller, first time caller though, and then we're like running down to the wire. Adam, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I wanted to ask you what you think about the machine spirit.
I've never heard of the machine spirit.
Well, growing up, my parents weren't really religious at all, and I never really went to church as a kid.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the Warhammer fictional universe?
The Warhammer what universe?
Yeah, the Warhammer universe. It was like a tabletop game where you roll dice and stuff, but it has a lot of lore and everything. And
okay.
I feel like when I was like 16, I kind of got drawn into it since I didn't really have any other spirituality. But one of the aspects of the whole fictional universe was the machine spirit. It was like a spirit that lives in machines, and I think it's kind of like a reflection of the industrial era that we've kind of, I mean, you might say we're in the post-industrial era.
Yep.
But I kind of feel like I've, I don't know, grown attuned to it. When I was 18, I graduated high school and joined the Navy.
Yeah.
And I ended up on an aircraft carrier running the nuclear reactors. And then after that, I went to college and stuff and ended up working in a steel mill. It was like 100 years old.
Awesome.
And my job was to fix the machines when they broke down. And a lot of the times when we would go up and try to figure out what was wrong with it, and we couldn't figure out what was wrong with it, I would just kind of say a prayer to the machine spirit.
Wow.
And it would start working again.
That is interesting, Adam. Let's talk again, if you can. I'm at the end of the show, but that is fascinating. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you again, man. All right. All right, guys. I will see you tomorrow, I didn't get to the Tsarnaev brothers, but I talked about it a couple of days ago, and I think I basically made, or yesterday, I think I basically made my point. It's ridiculous that the government's not protecting us, and they have all these departments that pretend to. It's ridiculous. Anyways, guys, I will see you tomorrow, and we'll keep pushing. All right, guys, take care.